Into another segment of the Sit Down with Malik Wright presented by First Star Logistics. On this segment, I'll be discussing something that I've waited not all season because it's only been 5 weeks, but 5 weeks to officially say. But the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, look horrible. They look bad. Just going to be honest with you about it. This is a team that when the offseason I told people, I said, hey, the Kansas City Chiefs, I expect them to regress a bit this year because I don't think they did enough to get better. And you look at almost every win they've had this season outside of the Chicago Bears victory, they've looked like a shell of themselves. Basically escaped with the victory in New York by the skin of their teeth, where Patrick Mahomes played horrible. They escaped with a victory just this past week, right, against the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if it's them playing down the competition or what, but when I look at it, this Kansas City Chiefs team is not the Kansas City Chiefs that we're used to, the big play offenses. You could say Travis Kelce's getting old, right? You could say that he doesn't have the rapport with the wide receivers like Rashee Rice, like Kadarius Toney. He doesn't have the weapons that he used to have in Kansas City. But what I see is I see a team that maybe the league is starting to figure out and starting to have a little bit more answers for, and they really haven't done a good enough job of evolving. Now, they still are winning football games, but it almost feels very similar to that Pittsburgh Steelers team a couple years ago, like Ben Roethlisberger's last year. Now, that sounds disrespectful. I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say that. Patrick Mahomes is still one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, so I don't want that to be misconstrued. But what I mean by that is you felt like even though their record was positive, there were a lot of holes and a lot of questions on the roster. It almost feels like they were one play away or one drive away from it being a different result. And when I look at this Kansas City Chiefs team, it seems like they're skating by the hair, like by the skin of their teeth, if you will. And I just haven't really been impressed with them. The slow starts, they don't look like that same off. There used to be a time when the Kansas City Chiefs took the football field and you knew the offense was going right down the field. Even the Bears got to stop on them, to start the game out. And that was a game that I was like, oh, maybe the Bears can give them some more problems as well. I don't know what's going on in Kansas City, but offensively speaking, Matt Nagy was supposed to be some huge upgrade over Eric Bieniemy, and he was supposed to be the guy that helped take this offense back to its normalcy. And I just don't think we've seen that just yet, Daniel. What say you?
So I think the way the Chiefs are winning is, like you said, it's not flashy. And that's been one of the issues. The offense, there is no explosive plays in the offense. And that's one of the biggest issues. Patrick Mahomes right now is currently rated as the second worst quarterback when it comes to passes over 20 plus yards this season. Malik, we're 5 weeks in. We're 5 weeks in. So that's a good sample size. So that's something for you Chiefs fans. Hopefully you can hang your hat and say, okay, well, that should revert back to the mean. The fact of the matter is it hasn't been good, whether that's Valdez Scantling hasn't been good on the deep passes. Rashee Rice is barely getting, involved right now. There is a lack of explosive, on this offense. And one of my issues too is Isaiah Pacheco, when he's going, they go away from it. It's almost like watching the Bengals last week or this week. He had 55 yards. The week before he had 100 something yards. Stick with the run. It seems like the same thing. They're not trying to establish a run. So that's one of my concerns. And when you look at the defense, I think Trent McDuffie is good. I think Chris Jones is elite. Besides that, Leo Chenal, the linebacker, is good. Nick Bolton is good, but it seems like they're not playing as a cohesive unit right now. To lose by 7 or to win by 7 points to the Vikings in a game where it shouldn't have been that close.
Mind you, Justin Jefferson went out the game.
Yeah.
So it's not like this was like them going tit for tat, if you will. This is the Chiefs team that, as we know, and let me just explain to you guys, the expectation, the bar was set so high. And I had a video where I said, after you guys won the Super Bowl and I was getting all these crazy DMs, I said, hey, listen, I hope you guys just keep it up. You know what I mean? And I get it. All teams go through rough patches, but you guys, the bar was set so high for Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs team that when you guys are playing down to competition or not being that same Chiefs team that we're used to seeing, you start to raise a little bit of questions. And this is sort of what I was talking about. Like, I place the blame squarely on the quarterback's shoulders.
Yes.
You want to make sure that rapport that you have with your receivers is something that's all around and not just the Travis Kelce show, right? And that was sort of like my biggest gripe before with them. It was like, okay, there are other guys you need to be able to rely on now. And that being said, I also think that his supporting cast should be doing more to help him in ways as well. I think that the GM, the front office, didn't do a good enough job of surrounding him with weapons or known commodities, if you will. You're relying on Kadarius Toney, who was fell out of favor in New York. You replaced him with Sky Moore, who hasn't seemed to take that next step. You replace him with Rasheed Rice. Rasheed Rice is a guy who I think when I think he'll eventually come into his own. And then you have a 34, 33-year-old tight end in Travis Kelce. And it's like, all right, what else is there? You can't tell me that was the best that this Kansas City Chiefs team could put out, because honestly speaking, every single year this team should be competing for a championship. As long as Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback, this team should be mentioned in the same breath of a potential championship. But Chiefs fans, you guys got to be real with yourself as well. There's no way you watch this Chiefs game and you're not hanging on to the edge of your seat. Essentially, there's no way you feel comfortable. There's no way you feel that that same way you felt before. Okay, our team's definitely going to come back. Our team's going to put it together, because you got drop passes, whether it's the offensive line failing them. I don't know why the bright idea was replace Orlando Brown with Jawan Taylor and move Jawan Taylor to left tackle. Or to right tackle, and then Donovan Smith to left tackle. I don't know why that was the bright idea. You lost both your starting tackles. There's a lot of things that I could say to your point, Daniel. I think that they need to do a better job of getting Isaiah Pacheco, because I think Isaiah Pacheco is their most dynamic offensive weapon that they have, outside of obviously Patrick Mahomes being the ridiculous talent that he is at quarterback. It's a lot to ask of Travis Kelce, who's he's getting up there in age. He's an old man in football terms at this point. I just don't see. I don't see this. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I don't know if I see this Kansas City Chiefs team making a deep run in the playoffs this year, man.
I agree with you, and I'm not going to discredit obviously what Mahomes and Kelce have done.
This is not a disrespect to Travis Kelce, to Patrick Mahomes, to Andy Reid. This is me saying I don't know if they have the talent to cut it this year.
Yeah, and that's one of my concern. Last year we saw, okay, the question was answered. He doesn't need Tyreek Hill. Respectfully, go out and make a trade. Go out and get a wide receiver one. That's what I would do. You tried getting the Sky Moore, the Rasheed Rice, but you've got this conglomerate of young receivers that don't. You've just got 4 to 5 guys. Like, you got Justin Watson respectfully running 50 routes a game, getting 0 targets. You got 1 target against the Jets, and he's running 50 routes. So what are you doing, right? So that's what, if I'm a Chiefs fan and if I'm the Chiefs, I'm looking at, okay, let's establish an identity. Let's get Isaiah Pacheco going right away. Let's not go away from it and start off a drive with 3 straight passes. So that's what I would do. And I would also look, if one of these receivers like a Rasheed Rice or Sky Moore doesn't prove themselves and be a true wide receiver one, somebody that can take the top of the defense and show a connection with Patrick Mahomes soon, I would go trade for somebody. Because at the end of the day, your window, I know you got Mahomes, but you still got a window right now. So I try to capitalize on that.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think that people might take this as we're being too hard on the Chiefs and we're writing the obituary too soon. That's not what I'm saying. I think that this is a collective, blame, I would say. I don't think that the front office did enough job of trying to, support Patrick Mahomes with more talent, or known talent. And that being said, I think the talent that he currently has, I don't think that they're stepping up to the plate as well, which is Patrick Mahomes is still a great quarterback, man. He's still a phenomenal quarterback. I just have a hard time seeing this Kansas City Chiefs team making a deep run this year. And that's okay. You can't win every single year. And this isn't me saying that they're not gonna do much this year. I still expect them to win their division. I still expect them to be in the playoffs. I just think that when you get into those tough games against some of those elite teams, it'll be harder and harder for this Chiefs team to sort of mask its flaws. But let us know down in the comment section what you think. Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs are, do you think they've set Patrick Mahomes up for failure? Do you think their time is done? Do you think they're overrated? Or do you think we're just completely overblowing it? Patrick Mahomes and company will get it together. Let us know down in the comment section. If you like more video content like this, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live from the First Star Logistics studio.